Was the target terminated?
He got away. Our agents were cut down. They ran out of firepower and were unable to take out the...
Why did you come back? Where's Julia?
I couldn't find her.
After an intense journey through bounty hunts, spaceship dogfights, and uncovering layers of past mysteries, our crew now delves deeper into the cosmic chaos. As they navigate uncharted territories and confront personal demons, are you ready to embark on the next leg of their interstellar adventure? Buckle up, the bebop continues. Episode 14. In the vastness of space, Spike, Faye, and Jet revel in their success, having just captured 20 culprits involved in an astral gate hijacking. However, there's a catch. Their reward remains elusive. They regroup aboard the bebop, tossing out frustrations at Ed, who promptly inquires if they've unearthed any clues. To their surprise, each member of the crew produces an identical king chess piece from their pockets. Parallelly, chaos reigns within the Gate Corporation. The company is inundated with grievances from countless individuals who've been robbed of their savings due to these gate heists. Despite their best efforts and a whopping 12 million Wulong bounty, the mastermind remains at large, initially adamant about working independently. Faye has a change of heart, suggesting a collaboration to hunt down the elusive kingpin. Spike and Jet are wary of her sudden shift, but eventually consent. Jet delves into the modus operandi of the heists. The hijackers breach the toll booth, fixing a hacking device that siphons funds from passing ships. These funds are then swiftly wired to a bank on Europa, undergoing an electronic wash, rendering them untraceable. Faye adds another layer, revealing that one captured hijacker was merely following a manual from a now-defunct website. Spike chimes in with information about the hacking devices, speculating on the Gate Corporation's potential complicity and silence on the matter. In the midst of this intense brainstorming, Ed gets an electric shock while fiddling with cables. Undeterred and very much alive, she connects her e-chess board to the mysterious chess piece, instigating a game with the enigmatic chess master Hex. Jet, sensing a potential lead, encourages Ed's gameplay. Meanwhile, Jet makes his way to the Gate Corporation's headquarters. Crossing paths with Jonathan, an old acquaintance and fellow bounty hunter, he engages in some banter. Inside, Jet confronts the CEO, confidently hurling accusations of the company's prior knowledge about the heists, using a chess piece as evidence. The CEO remains tight-lipped, urging Jet to stick to bounty hunting and exit. Yet Jet manages to eavesdrop on the CEO's conversation, veiling the mastermind's identity. Jonathan, lurking nearby, overhears the revelation. Elsewhere, Hex is engrossed in his game against Ed. Their digital duel rages on, with Hex celebrating a successful move against Ed. Spike dives deep into Hex's profile. Once the champion of the Cosmonet chess tournaments, Ed's ongoing game allows Jet to pinpoint Hex's location. A sprawling junkyard, graveyard of decommissioned ships, as Spike and Faye embark on a ground search. They're unaware of Jonathan, trailing them with vengeance in his eyes. Navigating the junkyard, Spike and Faye encounter a bohemian paradise, a harmonious blend of flora, fauna, and humans coexisting in the remnants. Their search culminates in Hex's sanctuary, where they face the reality of Hex's senile state. However, their discovery is interrupted by Jonathan's explosive entrance, fueled by his personal vendetta against Hex. Yet, amidst the chaos, camaraderie between Hex and his elderly friends, Antonio, Carlos, and Jobim. In a surprising turn, Spike opts for mercy. Instead of apprehending Hex, he advocates for understanding, recognizing the elderly man's harmless nature. Conspiracy unravels further when Jet reveals to the Gate Corporation CEO that Hex's plans were dormant, set to activate during a tech upgrade, only for him to forget due to senility. Jet leverages this information, negotiating for Hex's safety in return for their silence. In the aftermath, Jonathan embraces the bohemian lifestyle of the junkyard, signaling a fresh start. However, the tale takes a poignant turn as Ed, grossed in her game for a week, finally loses to Hex. The endgame signifies more than just a chess defeat. Hex's life reaches its checkmate as he peacefully passes away, leaving behind a legacy of mystery, genius, and redemption. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day, which is an anime that is boring, but has an ending that makes it worth the watch. Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in a future video. Episode 15. In the early days of the 21st century, Faye Valentine descends into the cold embrace of a cryogenic chamber. The sterile environment echoes with the methodical movements of doctors and staff, who ensure she's properly stored alongside other souls in their icy slumbers. Fast forward to the present aboard the Bebop. Jet and Ed discover their fish stash is poisoned and frozen. With financial desperation tightening its grip, Jet sets his sights on a con man known for seducing and defrauding unsuspecting women. He hopes this will provide the means to buy some much-needed sustenance. He's aware that Spike will likely disapprove. Faye, elsewhere on the ship, awakens from what seems like a haunting dream to the loud protests of Ein. She cleans up after him. She begins to recount her painful past to the seemingly indifferent dog. Flashback to 2068. Faye finds herself submerged, awakening from a prolonged cryogenic sleep in a hospital. As she's revived, Dr. Bacchus and his assistant Miss Manley discuss her mounting medical bill, staggering 300,028,000 woolongs. However, as they're about to dive into the details of her debt, it becomes evident that Faye has no recollection of her past. Whitney Haggis Matsumoto, a lawyer, enters her life promising to assist. He explains her past, a tragic accident at 20 that led to her 54-year frozen state. Overwhelmed by the weight of this revelation, Faye faints. Later, seeking an escape from her new reality, Faye attempts to flee, only to be rescued by Matsumoto. He introduces her to luxury, showering her with meals, clothing, and affections, but tragedy seems to tail Faye. While on a drive, they're ambushed. Matsumoto sacrifices himself. Faye later discovers Matsumoto's last act, naming her the sole heir to his assets. However, instead of a treasure trove, she inherits an avalanche of debts. The narrative returns to the Bebop. Spike emerges, having stealthily listened in on Faye's tale, and chides her for the story's authenticity. As the conversation continues, Jet reappears with a captive in tow, none other than a now chubbier Matsumoto. The revelation hits Faye like a freight train. He sequesters Matsumoto, seeking clarity amidst the lies. Their confrontation takes to the skies, with Faye aboard the Red Tail and Spike pursuing in the Swordfish 2. Their aerial dance is tense and electric. Suddenly, familiar voices intercept their communications. It's Bacchus and Manley masquerading as the police. Tangled web of deceit begins to unravel even further. Bacchus admits to gifting Faye her surname, Valentine, but he too is ignorant of her true past. As the actual police join the chase, Bacchus and Manley abandon Matsumoto and flee, leaving Faye resolute in claiming her due bounty on him. With Matsumoto secured, he reveals a whispered truth to Faye. His love for her, kindled during her years in frozen stasis. Yet just as quickly as the words leave his lips, he backtracks, dismissing it as just another lie. Returning from the police station, Jet hands Faye her share of the bounty. Episode 16. In a dimly lit corridor, strewn with bodies, Toucan offers admiration to Uday Taksim, impressed with Uday's skills in liberating them from their restraints and eliminating the guards aboard a prison transport ship. Toucan, savoring the taste of victory, presents a bottle of Dom Perignon to Taksim. However, Taksim's dark sense of humor emerges as he pours the champagne into the mouth of a deceased guard. Meanwhile, aboard the Bebop, a frustrated Spike Spiegel struggles to find solace for a nap amidst Faye's persistent complaints about a faulty shower. While Jet attends to his bonsai trees, an incoming call interrupts their dispute. Disinterested, Faye answers the call, hastily informing the caller, a man named Fad, of Jet's unavailability and hangs up. When Fad calls back, Jet's behavior alters at the mention of Fad's name, hinting at their shared past. The conversation alludes to Jet's prosthetic arm, indicating a deeper, unresolved history. On the prison ship, the situation turns dire. As the inmates argue over their next move, Uday, revealing his association with the Red Dragon crime syndicate, takes control by unexpectedly eliminating Dig, one of the vocal inmates. Tensions rise. Back on Earth, Jet's reunion with Fad uncovers old wounds. They recall their days as partners in the ISSP, hinting at an operation gone wrong which resulted in Jet's prosthetic arm. Despite Jet's initial hesitance, memories of their past and an enticing offer from Fad convinces him to team up once again to capture the escaped prisoners. Echoes of the past haunt Jet as he recalls a fateful night where he was ambushed while chasing a young Uday. Glaring light from a rooftop and the sound of a gunshot shroud the memory in mystery. As the inmate's plan unfurls, a deceptive move sees the premature end of the ISSP's pursuit. Using an explosive decoy, Uday and his group cripple the police fleet, gaining the upper hand. However, Jet's intuition and determination, still fierce as ever, leads him and Fad straight to Uday's anticipated escape route. With Jet drawing enemy fire and cleverly maneuvering through the chaos, the two former partners split up to tackle the threats. The scene turns grim as inmates and police forces clash, leading to a tense standoff between Jet and his old nemesis. Udai. In the ship's dark corridors, bullets fly and knives pierce. But amidst this, Udai drops a bombshell, revealing the truth behind the ambush from years ago. The betrayal wasn't Udai's, but Fad's. Fad had worked with the syndicate, turning his back on his partner Jet. As Udai unravels the treacherous past, a gunshot interrupts, with Udai falling lifeless, shot by Fad. Jet's world spins. His former ally stands before him, confirming Udai's revelation. The syndicate's influence had poisoned their partnership. As the tension peaks, both men reach for their weapons. Time seems to freeze. When it resumes, Fad collapses, fatally wounded. In the aftermath, Jet finds that Fad had never intended to kill him. His gun had only one bullet, one meant for Udai. As Fad draws his last breaths, he asks Jet for a cigarette, revealing his inability to quit, a symbol of their shared burdens and the choices they made. Amidst the backdrop of arriving ISSP reinforcements, Jet, reflecting on betrayals and lost trust, places Fad's gun back in his hand and, with a heavy heart, walks away, leaving the ghosts of the past behind. Episode 17. In the vastness of space, the bebop floats silently, depleted of both fuel and food, and the tensions among its crew are palpable. Starvation threatens to set in, and in his desperate hunger, Spike contemplates the unthinkable, making a meal out of Ein, the ship's resident dog. Faye shoots down the idea. Edward eagerly reveals a hidden peanut, a potential snack, only to have it snatched by Ein in the chaos that follows when a smaller ship collides with the bebop. This collision sends the bebop off course, crash landing on the surface of Io. The crew takes stock of the situation. Faye, after trying expired rations, is incapacitated with a stomachache. Jet and Spike busy themselves with ship repairs. Edward, along with Ein, is sent on a quest to find food. The desert landscape of Io offers no respite. Just when hope seems lost, Edward spots the same ship that hit them earlier. Determined to find answers, Edward gives chase but eventually loses sight of the ship. Instead, she finds herself at a watermelon truck. Her pleas for food are dismissed due to lack of funds. At this point, a woman named Coffee arrives to purchase watermelons and unknowingly gives Edward and Ein a covert ride in the trunk of her car. Coffee's quest intersects with Edward's journey when she is questioned about a man named Domino Walker at a gas station by the local police. To her shock, when her trunk is opened, out tumble Edward and Ein. The sudden distraction allows the duo to make their escape while Coffee is taken into custody. In a nearby town, Edward's luck seems to improve when she spies Domino Walker. Her approach is interrupted by a man named Shaft, seeking revenge on Walker for a past wrong. As they scuffle, Ein ingests one of the mushrooms dropped by Walker, leading to bizarre hoppy behavior, indicating these are no ordinary mushrooms. Upon returning to the bebop, Edward shares the mushrooms with the crew, leading to vivid hallucinations. Faye believes she's drowning in a bathroom. Spike treks an endless stairway to heaven. Jet holds deep philosophical discussions with his bonsai trees. All the while, the real world reveals their actions to be comically benign. Ed, having seen the value of the mushrooms and recognizing Walker's face on a bounty show, decides to capture him and trade the bounty for food. The chase is on, with both Shaft and Coffee also pursuing Walker, where Ed's cunning and Ein's loyalty lead to Walker's capture. Offering the valuable mushrooms as a bribe for his freedom, Ed accepts the deal and brings the haul back to the bebop. However, as the crew eagerly inspects the mushrooms, they receive an unexpected visit from the police. The officer tests the mushrooms, revealing them to be nothing more than ordinary shiitake, much to the crew's dismay. The following days see the crew begrudgingly feasting on mushroom-based meals, while Ein, still entranced by the peculiar fungi, resulting in a solitary hiccup. Episode 18. The bebop hovers in space, serenity disrupted by the whirring sound of a drone delivering a package. Jet eagerly talks about an old folktale, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to Spike's indifference. As Faye touches down on the ship, fresh from her recent endeavors at the horse races, Jet confronts her with the news of the mysterious package. The arrival of the unknown package instantly ignites Faye's paranoia. Memories of debt collectors and past skirmishes with foes rush through her mind, and she wastes no time fleeing the bebop to avoid any potential encounters with the sender. As Jet initiates scans, ensuring that the package isn't a threat, Spike's nonchalance shines through as he effortlessly rips the package open. A peculiar plastic box containing a strip of brown tape lies within. Curiosity bubbles as they turn the object over, unfamiliar with its outdated beta cassette format. Ed, ever the investigator, recounts its many voyages throughout the solar system. A trip to a video antique store unveils more mysteries. The store owner's excitement is palpable as the archaic tape is inserted into the only beta player he owns. The visuals depict a picturesque port town with a young girl gazing over its horizon. Yet before her identity can unravel, the player gives in, its life ending abruptly with Spike's ill-advised attempt at a fix. On the bebop, while Jet immerses himself in repairing the precious tape, Ed locates a another player in the underground electrical museum in Old Asia. With newfound determination, Jet sets his course. Concurrently, Faye's escapades continue at dog races, her feelings of liberation fueling her bets. When the bebop lands on Earth, Spike, Jet, and Ed embark on a treacherous exploration of the Forsaken City. Their journey filled with rappelling down abandoned elevators, speeding down rusty pipes. Despite their efforts, their return is met with disappointment. The machine they procured is a VHS player, an incompatible format for their beta cassette. Elsewhere, fortune turns its back on Faye. Pang of longing strikes her, and she contemplates reconnecting with the bebop crew. As she contemplates, the ship receives another package addressed to her. Spike's impatience wins, and the package is opened, revealing the sought-after beta player. Faye's timely arrival sees her cornered by Jet with the delivery charges. Despite her refusal to pay and view the tape, her curiosity gets the better of her. As the crew delves into the content of the tape, they are transported to an old boarding school in Singapore. Captures a younger Faye and her peers conveying messages to their future selves. Faye's young voice, brimming with hope and warmth, delivers poetic verses and comforting assurances. The stark reality sets in for the present-day Faye. Tears well up as she confronts the juxtaposition of her optimistic past. Episode 19. Hovering in space aboard the Swordfish 2, Spike grapples with technical problems while en route to overhaul his ship. Light years away, Jet and Faye strategically set a trap for pirates named George, Herman, and Ruth. Using the Bebop and Redtail as decoys, they await their targets. Faye's impatience bubbles to the surface, her frustration echoing in the cosmos. However, Ein's swift action silences their banter, severing their communication link. A solitary figure appears on Spike's radar, but instead of the anticipated Doohan, Miles, Doohan's ever-zealous assistant, greets him. The excitable Miles swiftly transports the Swordfish coup to Doohan's sanctuary. Here, Doohan, engrossed in his craft, barely acknowledges Spike, directing his attention solely to the distressed spaceship. The pirates, now in the clutches of Faye and Jet, employ a unique grappling mechanism to immobilize and infect a trucking ship. However, their nefarious plots take a turn as Faye, with guns ablaze, confronts them head-on. Within seconds, their grappling contraption strikes again, wreaking havoc on Faye's ship. Bullets spray in all directions, even targeting Jet's hammerhead. Chaos unfolds when the Bebop, too, falls victim to this device. Despite Ed's frantic attempts, the Bebop spirals uncontrollably. The Swordfish 2 undergoes repairs. Spike's wandering eyes drink in the nostalgia of his surroundings. Amidst Miles' incessant chatter about outdated components, Spike initiates a conversation with Doohan, reminiscing about old times. But, in a twist of fate, a rare part delivery for the Swordfish connects the crew to the pirates, just exploiting a loophole in their system, granting them a technological edge. Their hunt leads them to the Orbit Drive-In, where two identical trucks bearing the notorious Purple Penguin rest. Tensions rise as Spike and Faye initiate a gunfight, seeking to identify the real culprits. The skirmish escalates. Spike chases the pirates, masterfully evading their attempts to infect his ship. Yet, the Swordfish eventually succumbs. Spike, thinking on his feet, disables the compromised computer and grapples with the challenges of manual operation. Even as the Bebop nears, a dramatic explosion sends Jet into the same disarray. Spike's determination sees him absorbing additional attacks, all to protect his comrades. Back at the repair facility, an eavesdropping Miles interrupts Doohan with grave news about the crew's dire situation. Doohan, without hesitation, unveils his masterpiece, revived NASA's Columbia space shuttle. The sight leaves Miles in sheer astonishment. Adrift in space, the Swordfish dangerously close to Earth's atmosphere, Spike faces imminent doom. As flames dance around his ship and fuel dwindles, Spike resigns himself to fate, giving Jet a parting message about the whiskey stash. But hope ignites when Doohan's voice crackles over the radio, promising a rescue, claiming the whiskey as his reward. Spike watches in awe as the magnificent Columbia emerges from its resting place, soaring into the void. Doohan's instructions echo in Spike's ears as he desperately tries to maneuver the Swordfish into a suitable position. Miraculously, against all odds, the Swordfish's center pod finds its way into the Columbia. However, the universe has one more test. Columbia veers off course, crash landing. Yet, in the aftermath, every soul emerges, triumphant and alive. Episode 20. In the nocturnal landscape of Mars, a shadowy figure emerges, haunting the air with an eerie presence. A group of unsuspecting men stand guard. The lead man and his guards quickly find themselves under fire, falling one by one. Elsewhere, Spike enjoys a game of pool at Cest La Vie, but as he steps outside, he unexpectedly becomes part of the ongoing bloodbath. The mysterious man raises his cane-like gun and shoots towards Spike, but with a swift reflex, Spike dodges, seeking cover behind some trash. Despite his best efforts, his bullets can't penetrate penetrate the invisible force shielding his opponent. As they lock into a fierce melee, Spike is overpowered by the attacker's agility and ruthless flying kicks. But fortune favors Spike when a stray cat distracts the attacker, leading Spike to set off an explosion using a propane tank. Unfathomably, the man emerges from the fire unscathed, only to wound Spike with a throwing knife. Overwhelmed, Spike makes a desperate dash towards the river. Following morning, Jet meets with his friend Bob, discussing the night's events. Bob reveals that the attacker, known as Mad Piero or Tong Pu, is on a mission to assassinate top ISSP directors. On the Bebop, bandaged Spike endures Faye's playful ridicule, likening him to a living mummy. In an unexpected twist, Edward intercepts an invitation to a party at Spaceland, a theme park. Despite Faye's reservations, Spike decides to confront his mysterious adversary. As he walks into the theme park, lights illuminate the surroundings, and Tong Pu emerges, announcing the commencement of their deadly duel. Trying to dodge Tong Pu's relentless onslaught, he's chased through twisting alleyways, confronted by bizarre mascots, and trapped in a roller coaster cart teetering above a vast chasm. Back on the Bebop, Jet tasks Edward with hacking into the secret ISSP archives. She discovers Project Tong Pu, covert operation aimed at creating a super assassin. Tragically, the experiments warp Tong Pu's psyche, reducing him to a murderous, childlike state. The haunting eyes of a cat from a past experiment seem to be Tong Pu's only weakness. Back at the park, as Spike is cornered once again, Faye swoops down in the red tail, launching missiles in a bid to save Spike. Tong Pu, showcasing his uncanny agility, evades the onslaught and manages to down the red tail. As the final confrontation seems imminent, Toy Cat's meow sends Tong Pu into a frenzy. Capitalizing on this distraction, Spike wrests free and challenges Tong Pu. Amidst the chaos, a parade of robotic mascots inadvertently crushes a crying, distraught Tong Pu. Jet's voice crackles over the radio, offering Spike the lowdown on Tong Pu's origins. But Spike, weary and battle-scarred, dismisses it. With a sigh, he confesses his newfound disdain for amusement parks. Episode 21. Jet stands on Mars, puzzled by the recent message from his old acquaintance, Pao Pu Zi, which reads, "Seek the holy beast of Anzan. I am where the four gods meet." The cryptic message intrigues Jet, but as he searches for answers, the only clue he uncovers is a tombstone marking Pao's death that very year. Lost in thought, he barely registers the presence of a woman, Pao Meifa, till she pulls him down, narrowly saving him from an assassin's bullet. Two killers are on their tail, but Meifa, glancing at a strange device, quickly charts an escape route. They dart onto a bus, and then plunge into a canal, managing to give their pursuers the slip. On board the Bebop, Jet shares that he hasn't heard from Pao in a decade. Meifa, revealing herself as Pao's daughter, explains her father supposedly perished in a transport accident en route to Jupiter. Meifa believes her father is still alive and enlists Jet's help. As the two converse, Spike, Faye, and Edward eavesdrop, speculating on Jet's possible interest in Meifa. Edward's straightforward query leaves Jet flustered. Together, Jet and Meifa scour the Martian city, Meifa sharing her knowledge of feng shui, the intricate science of the interplay between the three chais, heaven, earth, and magnetic energies. Their hunt takes them to the towering mountain hotel, identified by Meifa as the Ansan, mentioned in her father's note. From the hotel's zenith, he deciphers the city's landmarks as representations of ancient gods: blue dragon, white tiger, snake, tortoise, and red phoenix. Her Luo Pan, a feng shui compass, confirms these gods' alignment from their vantage point. Upon exiting the hotel, Meifa's Luopan detects the sunstone concealed within a statue's maw. The stone appears mundane, fist-sized black rock, but Jet's attention is diverted by the reappearance of the assassins. A quick decision has them ducking into a bar, and Jet soon confronts and learns these men are agents of the Blue Snake crime syndicate. They've been shadowing Meifa, hoping she'd unveil her father's location. Their knowledge stops there. They're clueless about the syndicate's intentions for Pao. Back on the Bebop, they deduce the sunstone's origin, a fragment from the moon shattered in a cataclysmic accident. This lunar debris, Meifa reveals, absorbed time-space fluctuations, making it a potent energy source, yet its exact purpose remains elusive. A sudden realization strikes Meifa. A twin sunstone must be with her father. Deep in hyperspace, their quest takes an alarming turn. Blue Snake Syndicate emerges, launching robotic ships to obliterate the Bebop. Jet devises a plan. With Edward's aid, Spike's plasma cannon targets the stone. Amidst the chaos, a lone ship surfaces, piloted by Pao Pu Zi. Time is of the essence. Pao's oxygen supply dwindles, and he's trapped within an unstable force field. Reunion is bittersweet. Pao's message was a final plea to reunite with his daughter. Meifa confronts the pain of years of abandonment, while Jet berates Pao for manipulating them through feng shui. Episode 22. In the sprawling metropolis, a notorious figure known as Teddy Bomber terrorizes the city by stuffing teddy bears with explosives and detonating them in buildings. Spike, with his keen detective skills, corners Teddy Bomber, effortlessly pulling a pin out of one of Teddy's explosive bears. Just as Teddy is about to explain the motives behind his actions, a horse comes crashing through the window. The rider, Andy, fellow bounty hunter, mistakenly believes Spike to be the bomber. In the ensuing confusion, Spike is roped and incapacitated. Forced to watch as Teddy Bomber makes his escape, Spike returns to the Bebop and recounts his unbelievable encounter with Andy. Ed dives into her database and uncovers that Andy Vondi Oniat is an heir to vast wealth who was ejected from the YMCA for causing disruptions. The Bebop crew devises a plan to catch Teddy Bomber during a masquerade party. Disguised in various outfits, spot their target wearing a noticeable giant teddy bear costume. Their operation is once again disrupted by Andy's grand entrance atop his horse. Amidst the chaos, Teddy Bomber's frustrations bubble over. He is irate at the lack of attention he's getting, prompting him to detonate his explosives in a fit of anger. What ensues is a fast-paced chase, with Spike in his Swordfish 2 and Andy, with Faye as an unexpected passenger pursuing Teddy. However, the two bounty hunters, blinded by their rivalry, turn on each other, disregarding their initial target. On Andy's boat, while treating Faye to a unique stew, reveals his reasons for being a bounty hunter. Sheer thrill of it. The conversation highlights Andy's self-centered nature. Back on the Bebop, Faye shares her observations about the striking similarities between Spike and Andy, further agitating Spike. Crew's attention then shifts to a broadcast on Big Shot, where the Teddy Bomber's bounty is displayed. The show attempts to relay a message from the bomber, detailing his motives. However, time constraints truncate his message, likely fueling his rage. Ed, with her sharp insights, deduces City Hall as Teddy's next target. The stakes high, Spike, driven by his desire to settle scores with Andy, gears up for a showdown. Scenic water fountain. Teddy, Spike, and Andy converge. Spike and Andy's petty arguments dominate the scene, further sidelining Teddy Bomber, resorts to explosions to redirect their attention. As Teddy lures them into a building trap, Spike and Andy find themselves in a locked elevator, rigged with Teddy explosives. As they race against time, the two rivals manage to escape the imminent blast, only to face off atop the building. Their mirrored movements lead to a tense standoff, ending with a dramatic display of Spike's frustration and Andy's surprising concession. Handing Spike his iconic hat, he admits defeat and departs on his horse. As Teddy Bomber sits in the confines of a police wagon, he finally unveils his motives. His acts of destruction were protests against the senseless wastage birthed by unphilosophical capitalism. But in a twist of fate, Andy reappears, clad in samurai attire, riding alongside the police wagon. The scene fades as both the wagon and the eccentric bounty hunter journey into the sunset. Episode 23. Amid the vastness of space, a movement called Scratch gains traction. Advocates of this group promote the idea of migrating human consciousness into the infinite sea of electrons. Spike lounges in front of the television, flipping through various channels, each dissecting the ideology and influence of Scratch. They detail the group's controversial teachings, radical views, and their mysterious leader, Dr. Londes. An expert, Dr. David Levinson, dismisses Dr. Londes' assertions as mere science fiction. Spike's attention narrows when Faye appears on screen, announcing her association with Scratch. She proclaims that if she can discard her body, she won't have to deal with the pesky burden of debt. Spike informs Jet about Faye's bizarre television appearance, and they soon unearth a 38 million Wolong bounty on Dr. Londes' head, attributed to murder charges. Disturbingly, out of Scratch's 20,000 followers, approximately 100 have reportedly taken their own lives. On Mars, Faye's true intentions surface. He hasn't genuinely aligned with Scratch, but aims to apprehend Dr. Londes and claim his bounty. However, her mission derails when she stumbles upon an eerie room filled with lifeless bodies and an array of television screens. A sense of danger washes over her, and as she flees, her vision blurs. The Bebop crew splits tasks. While Edward hacks into Scratch's digital realm, Jet speaks with Londes' past colleagues. Spike chats up Scratch recruiters. Everyone hits a dead end. Scratch members adamantly insist that Dr. Londes has transcended his physical form. One of Londes' former colleagues is too senile to be of any help. Jet acquires a brain dream device, hoping to leverage it to track Londes. As he navigates the Scratch website, Ein, the data dog, grows uneasy, sensing something amiss. Suddenly, Jet feels a force attempting to override his consciousness. Startled, Ein intervenes, snapping Jet back to his senses. Jet and Ed make a startling revelation. Dr. Londes isn't real. His entire background is an intricate web of lies. Disguising themselves as a father-daughter duo, Jet and Ed infiltrate the hospice. Meanwhile, Spike pilots the Swordfish 2, arriving at the very location Faye had investigated earlier. Discovers Faye, seemingly lifeless. Suddenly, televisions illuminate, revealing the digital visage of Dr. Londes. Phantom Leader boasts about his methods, asserting that he represents an idea, a new god. A verbal chess match ensues, with Londes pontificating on the power of television as a tool of manipulation. Inside the hospice, Jet and Ed are confronted by the shocking truth. Mastermind behind Dr. Londes is Rosny Spangen, a 15-year-old boy, immobile and tethered to life support machines. Tragically, Rosny had been in a vegetative state since a medical mishap 2 years prior. As Ed battles to shut down the Londes system, the digital avatar pleads, revealing his isolation and desire to pull others into his detached reality. As the program crumbles, Jet gazes at the boy, a genius hacker named Rosny, who had fallen into a dark abyss of dreams. Instead of claiming the bounty, Jet chooses compassion, leaving Rosny behind, hoping the boy finds solace in more pleasant dreams. Faye, regaining consciousness beside Spike, expresses confusion about their location. With the case closed, the Bebop crew departs. Episode 24. The Bebop navigates the vastness of hyperspace on its trajectory towards Mars. In a quiet corner, Faye's eyes are fixed on her old Betamax tape, as the past she can barely recall plays before her. Edward, the quirky, free-spirited hacker, sneaks up beside her, catching glimpses of the video. When Faye queries about the locations in the video, Ed teasingly alludes to knowing something, but she drifts to sleep before divulging any information. In a playful move to wake Ed, Faye lightly blows air into her mouth. By morning, to Jet's frustration, the Bebop finds itself not on Mars, but Earth. This unexpected detour delays their bounty hunt. Jet's annoyance contrasts with Spike's nonchalant demeanor as he brushes his teeth, simply noting, "Girls are gone." To coax information out of Edward, Faye has humorously tied Ed to the ship's exterior, promising a treat in exchange for help. Meanwhile, on Earth's rugged surface, a rover vehicle maneuvers around the enormous craters. Two men hop out, engrossed in discussion about their survey mission. As Faye descends to the planet's surface, she and Ed search through piles of refuse in a sprawling landfill. Their scavenging attracts the attention of curious children. Sister Clara, a nun in charge of the children, mistakenly thinks Faye might pose a threat and douses her with water from a hose. Recognizing Edward, she surprises Faye with the revelation that the young hacker had spent some time at her orphanage. Over a meal, when Faye makes a move to leave, Ed admits she just missed the food. Sister Clara has another surprise, a holographic image of Ed's long-lost father, one of the men from the rover. She tells Ed he had come looking for her. Despite Sister Clara's offer of shelter, the two depart to uncover more about Faye's past. Not far away, Ed's father and his assistant McIntyre set up a satellite dish, examining a map that showcases the damage from continuous meteor showers. Faye's search brings her to a memorable spot from her tape. Here, she meets Sally Young, a friend from her youth. The passage of time has marked Sally, who is now older and wheelchair-bound. She instantly recognizes Faye. Sally's revelation about the space shuttle accident and Faye's cryostasis leaves Faye feeling adrift. Back on the Bebop, Faye struggles with her emotions, turning somberly. Jet and Spike soon hear about a bounty for Appledeli Siniz Hisap Lutfin, Ed's father, worth 50 million wulongs for a supposed bank robbery. Appledeli and McIntyre continue their task as the former offers the latter raw chicken eggs. With fragments of her past piecing together, Faye steps out of the shower with newfound determination. As she rushes out, she bumps into Spike, surprising him with her unexpected vulnerability. She leaves with a passionate plea to Ed about the importance of belonging. Jet and Spike locate Appledeli by a lake. The confrontation takes an unexpected turn as Appledeli skillfully evades their efforts. Ed intervenes, piloting the Bebop remotely. Appledeli, recognizing Ed as Françoise, warmly greets her. The bounty is revealed to be a mere 50 wulongs, and not the promised millions. Faye, following her memories, finds the remains of her former home, marking the culmination of her search. Back on the Bebop, Ed leaves Spike with a parting gift, a pinwheel. As the sun dips below the horizon, she begins her journey into the vastness, with Ein choosing to accompany her, their silhouettes gradually disappearing. The once lively Bebop feels quieter. Jet and Spike silently consume their dinner. Amidst the backdrop of the starry sky and the luminous trails of meteors, Ed's pinwheel remains fixed to the Bebop's deck, poignant reminder of their adventures and her message. "See you, cowgirl, someday, somewhere." Episode 25. Julia stands inside her Martian apartment, scanning through her communications console when a message appears. At another location on Mars, Vicious, with confidence in every step, leads a team into what he believes to be the chamber of the Van artifact. But as they step into the room, the door slams shut behind them. Overhead lights flash on, revealing the Red Dragon elders with a battalion of their soldiers. "We saw through your betrayal, Vicious," one elder sneers. "Did you truly think a mere fortune teller's words would escape our ears?" They chain him, choosing to shatter his spirit before his life. Meanwhile, the neon lights of the loser bar cast long shadows on its patrons, including Spike and Jet Black. Drowning their pain in drink over the loss of their crew, they're jerked back to reality as the door bursts open. Bullets rain down, turning their refuge into a war zone. Recognizing the gunmen as members of the Red Dragon, Spike and Jet engage in a heated battle, bullets ricocheting off walls and tables. Just as things appear grim, Shin, Lin's brother, bursts in, guns blazing. He informs Spike of Vicious's imprisonment and the Syndicate's intent to eliminate anyone associated with the traitor, including Spike and Julia. Together, they flee the scene, but not before Jet sustains a gunshot wound to his leg. Driving through Mars's sprawling highways, Julia's thoughts drift to the past. A memory plays out. The chilling moment Vicious discovers her intent to leave the Syndicate with Spike. Cold steel presses against her temple as Vicious demands she lure Spike into a trap. Julia rips Spike's note and releases it to the wind. Elsewhere, Faye stands at the Mars airport, lost in her thoughts. As she prepares to leave, her communicator buzzes. Spike's voice crackles through, "Meet me at Tharsis." But as she contemplates his request, gunshots echo from the distance. Julia speeds by, pursued by Red Dragon vehicles. Without hesitation, Faye leaps into action, neutralizing the pursuers and joining Julia in a high-speed escape. After ensuring their safety, Julia reveals her identity and leaves a cryptic message for Faye to deliver to Spike. "Tell him I'll be at the place. He'll know," she says before speeding away. Back aboard the Bebop, Jet, with a freshly bandaged leg, confronts Spike about their perilous path. The poignant moment is interrupted as Faye docks her red tail and rushes in with Julia's message. But before Spike can process her words, ship shakes violently under an onslaught of enemy fire. Both Spike and Faye, driven by a shared determination, repel the attack. The heavy heart, Jet urges Spike onward. "Go to her. Find your missing piece." The towering headquarters of the Red Dragon, Vicious hangs defeated. As the elders savor their imminent victory, an explosion erupts. Loyalties shift. Chaos ensues as Vicious turns the table on his captors. Swift precision, he eliminates each elder, solidifying his dominion over the Syndicate. Amidst the eerie silence of a Martian graveyard, Spike cautiously approaches, eyes scanning for any sign of Julia. There, under the dim light of Mars's twin moons, Julia stands. Cold metal gleams in her hand, and she raises a gun, aiming it straight at Spike's heart. Episode 26. Rain falls steadily as Spike faces Julia, recalling that their last meeting 3 years ago was also on a rainy day. Holding a gun, Julia's voice trembles as she reveals that she had been ordered to kill Spike back then. However, love had driven her to run away instead. Spike, overwhelmed with emotion, pulls Julia into an embrace. Inside the opulent headquarters of the Red Dragon Crime Syndicate, Shin walks into a horrifying sight. Vicious coldly questions Shin about whether the target has been killed. Shin answers, disclosing that the target had killed their agents and managed to escape. Pressing further, Vicious asks about Julia. Shin's hesitation prompts a dark warning from Vicious. The rain pours outside as Spike and Julia head to Annie's store, searching for supplies. A sense of unease grows in Spike as he suspects someone might have reached Annie before them. This suspicion turns to horror when they find Annie inside, bleeding from a gunshot wound. With her dying breaths, Annie reveals she misled the Syndicate, claiming Spike was already dead. Spike's determination hardens as he gathers weapons, with Julia sensing his intent to confront Vicious directly. Their plans are suddenly disrupted when they realize Syndicate members have surrounded the store. Elsewhere, aboard the Bebop, Faye and Jet converse about Spike. Jet, believing that Spike must confront his past, declines Faye's plea to save him. Their conversation shifts to Julia, with Faye describing her as either an angel from the underworld or maybe a devil from paradise. Gunfire erupts as Syndicate members breach Annie's store. In a desperate scramble, Spike and Julia retreat upstairs, taking out several adversaries. They almost make their escape via an adjacent rooftop, but a Syndicate member emerges, shooting Julia just as Spike takes him down. Julia, critically injured, murmurs her final words as she passes away in Spike's arms. Raindrops camouflage Spike's tears as he gazes at the sky with fury. Desperate for clues on Spike's whereabouts, Jet visits the wise Laughing Bull. The old man speaks cryptically about guardian stars and life's transient nature, hinting at Spike's impending doom. Meanwhile, Vicious discovers Julia's coat at Annie's store. Understanding the implications, Spike reappears on the Bebop, surprising Jet, where Spike narrates a melancholic story about a cat that died a million deaths. The conversation takes a somber turn when discussing Julia, Spike stating she's gone forever. As Spike prepares to leave, Faye confronts him, reminding him of the ties that bind them all together. In a heartfelt exchange, Faye implores Spike not to throw his life away. Spike, however, is resolute in his mission. Leaving the Bebop behind, Spike embarks on his journey in the Swordfish 2, leading him to the Syndicate's stronghold. Despite his injuries, Spike's resolve is unyielding. He wreaks havoc within the Syndicate's fortress, fueled by vengeance and sorrow. Encountering Shin, Spike learns of Vicious's location, but their reunion is short-lived as Shin is gunned down. On the top floor, Spike and Vicious come face to face. The climax arrives swiftly. Vicious collapsing dead and Spike grievously wounded. Spike's vision blurs, focusing on the star-filled sky. Julia's luminous figure appears, whispering that everything was just a dream. As reality fades, Spike responds in kind. Descending the steps of the Syndicate stronghold, gravely injured Spike confronts the shocked Syndicate members. With a grin, he mimics a gunshot with his finger, uttering a single word, "Bang!" before collapsing. And that is Cowboy Bebop. If you want to see more awesome and binge-worthy anime recaps, don't forget to like and subscribe. Definitely don't forget to comment your answer to our question of the day for a chance to be featured in our next video.